How are you? Thank
I'm
you.
good, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. It's an honor for me. Thank you so much.
Thanks for making the time, mate. So, would you give us a brief description about what you were doing? And your story seems very interesting. You're from South America, and now you're in Australia, and you worked in India, and then you currently with China, right?
Yes,
Yeah. So
yes,
it's
that's
I'm assuming it's a long, adventurous journey so far that you've had. So just give us a little bit brief about your journey.
sure, sure. So I'll resume my 10 years in 1 minute. So I come from Venezuela, so that's my country. Then I came to Australia in 2009. I started my studies here. Then in 2016, I finished my master's degree in
Okay.
strength and conditioning. And then I was working throughout the time with the National University here in Australia as a strength and conditioning coach. Then I received an offer from India at the national team, the senior team, and the under 23. And then after that year, in December 2017, I got an offer as a head strength and conditioning coach in a Chinese team, second division. League One, it's called, and that's where I am right now. So right now I'm in Sydney, back in Australia, due to the COVID-19. But once this is done, hopefully for everyone and I hope everyone is safe. I go back to my club.
Great. We met back in 2018, if I'm not wrong, for the Singapore conference, right? Yeah, I saw
Yes.
your presentation. I was just going through your presentation notes the last few days, and it seems to be very interesting because you come from a completely different background, and now you're in a culture where there is no correlation whatsoever from where you come from, and you've been in India as well. So, as a coach, working with diverse cultures, and I assume that was a main theme of your presentation as well,
Yeah.
with a lot of technical detail that went into the presentation. But if we have to narrow it down to the cultural aspects and the challenges that you had to deal with as a coach, how do you look at it?
Yeah. So most of the challenges in let's say in China, and then few of the challenges I found in India as well, is that the player it needs a foundation. Okay. So whereas in Australia they go to school and they got the culture of S&C, strength and conditioning, physical activity, athleticism, swimming, and multi-sport. So when you reach a level of, say, for example, an institute in here or a club, and you ask a player to, for example, squat, clean, deadlift, he would know. And this is from young age. So the foundation here is very strong, and that's Australia based. Let's call it the system. And when you go, even countries like mine in Venezuela or India or China, this is missed a little bit. Great talented players everywhere, but this part of the physical aspect is probably missing a little bit. So to introduce this from once, it's too strong. So it's a slow process. It will take about a year, about a full season, let's say, and then the next season they're ready, already, flying, let's call it like that.
Right. So one of the messages that you were trying to put out in your presentation was to adapt and try not to make a wholesale change when you're moving from one culture to the other. So was that always the case with you, or you had to learn it the hard way? Did you try to make changes initially as a coach and then learned that's not going to happen? So how did you arrive at this conclusion?
Yes. So as coaches, as any other job, I think we make mistakes. Okay, and we people say around you need to learn from the mistakes. I think more than learning, you need to respect your mistake. And I remember a club in here in Sydney, no, in Australia, in Canberra, where I got appointed as a strength and conditioning coach, and the the team was winning, was had a strike of winning, and for me to jump into that club was amazing, because you think, okay, now we, with the physical capacity a little bit better, we are gonna fly, we're gonna win, we're gonna. And I started to introduce, S&C sessions, conditioning sessions, and the captain one day he told me, my friend, with all respect, here's not like this. So, and I had to step back, and then I had to learn that, and I had to adapt myself. Whereas I wanted 4 sessions in the gym a week, I jumped to one. So I really had to adapt. So now and then when I moved into at the institute here in Sydney, same thing. I had, I used to work with the women's team. Sometimes, like they got the period and you cannot push them so much. So I had to adapt myself. I had to say, okay, I had like a weekly program. Maybe this week is not gonna work because most of them they got the period. So let's move on to something else. So
Right.
adaptability.
Yeah. So, and when it comes to dealing with coaches, how different is it, or is it similar, working with coaches from ranging from Australia to India to China right now? So, what do you see? What are the common threads, and what are the most significant changes that you've seen?
Yeah, yeah. So every coach will have his own philosophy. Okay, their style of playing, and that's the most common one. The approach. Okay, some of them they like leadership. Some of them they give you flexibility. Some of them they wouldn't know, not saying nothing, but just a minimum of strength and conditioning, and will give you the freedom. So for me, it's about communication. For me, it's about when I first meet them or I first, start with them. It's about, okay, coach, what do you want? Coach, how can we be successful? How can I make your players and your style of playing be more successful? So some of them they give you freedom, but then after maybe a month or 2 or 3, they want you to change something, some stuff that they probably don't like or they wouldn't agree, and you go and change. However, if you can justify what you're doing with numbers, GPSs, programs, rate of injuries. So if your rate of injuries are low and your GPSs numbers are high, for example, where you expose your players to, to hard work, let's call it like that,
Yeah.
and they're responding to that, and they are winning on the weekend, then then you can justify, coach, we're doing a great job here.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, completely, completely. So football
So
is one of the sports probably, where there are a lot of research happening worldwide. And at the same time, you see practices like people stepping on the bosu and, that I remember a couple of slides from your presentation. I'm not saying that's bad. There is a place for it. But how do you strike a balance between what you want to do really and what the coach likes to see?
sure. So I think it's a 80-20. So it's a 80% of what we need to do and 20% of, let's call, entertainment. Okay. I don't like that word much, but let's call it like that. Okay.
Yeah,
So when I see, for example, a healthy athlete or player jumping on a bozu and doing, like 45 minutes or 30 to, an hour session on the bozu doing prehabilitation, for me, in my opinion, with all respect, that's a waste of the session. Okay. Uh, you can use it for rehabilitation purposes for sure, but for me, my athletes, they need to be able to squat, they need to be able to lift heavy, they need to be able to they need to be able to understand that if they are at the gym, they need to work as hard as they're working when they are on the field with the ball,
right.
because there is only 11 spots on the field. Okay, and they need to constantly work for it. Okay. We know science, it's more than evident, and research, it's more than clear that the heavier or the stronger you are, the less likely to have injuries you are.
Yeah.
And a Bozu ball for a prolonged period of time, I think it's probably it's again, it's not necessary in that kind of, if we can call it like that.
Yeah, yeah. So when you shift your role and when you move into a new culture, if you have to sort of create, let's say, for lack of a better word, buy-in with the coach, what would your suggestion be for an upcoming strength and conditioning coaches rather than trying to change everything as you land uh, in their
Just
country?
yeah. So say for example, you land to a new country, new club, new coach, new players. Okay, and the first thing you I did is to arrive to the training session and let it go. Let it go for 1, 2, 3 days. Okay. First thing day one is to check on the test results of each player and probably see history of injury, the best say results of the players, and also speak to the coach what he wants, again how he wants to play, and let it go. And then usually what I do is do a retesting for me, for myself. Okay. And this doesn't mean I need to do the full body of test, but probably a functional movement screening will be enough. If possible, a yo-yo test will be enough. If possible, even a squat technique at the gym will be enough. And with this, you start to change a few things. You start to not completely change, but just prescribe programs, individual programs,
Yeah,
and not make a general plan. With the coaches, some of the coaches, they like the small side game. Okay. And you can speak to the coach, okay, we're going to do small side games, but can I time, can I make the times and the resting times and the number of players and these variables that will give you the conditioning part that we are looking after.
right. So one interesting bit from your presentation was your segmentation of training routines into traditional, then functional, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
right? Yeah. So could
Yeah,
you
yeah.
explain? Could you explain that segmentation and how
Yeah.
you look at it?
So yeah, so basically in football, in Europe especially, the traditional, I wouldn't include England because England does a great job, but Spain, I just came from Spain, Italy, Portugal, and Greece, all these countries, they like the player being involved always or most of the time with the ball, doing small side of game. Okay. uh, Whereas you see here in Australia or in England that the traditional part, which is put the players on the line and make them run, make them to do drills, running drills, acceleration drills, speed drills, sprinting drills. This is more common, okay, in
Right.
these cultures, okay. And what I try to say in my presentation and in my philosophy is that we can have everything. Okay, we can have the traditional part, the functional part, and the global part. The global part is more tactical. For example, if I have to do MAS, or let's call it let's call mm, speed training with let's say above 19 kilometers an hour, and the coach doesn't want me to do the traditional part, which is put them on the line and make them run or something like that, I will do something like transitions. Okay. In football, this is where the part of S&C in football needs to understand a little bit, is that the tactical part it's important. So I will do an exercise with transitions, or even the coach say, coach, you can do let's do transitions today, and the players will run from one box to another box and come back, and
Right.
that's my 19 kilometers an hour reached, for example. Okay. So again, three different ways. I have the opportunity to break it down however I want and the coach wants. So some days I will go and do a normal run from the line to the box. Some days the coach says to me, okay, today we're playing in 3 4 days against this team, we need transitions. I'll do transitions, you do the timing. Perfect, no problem.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. On a lighter note, Claudio, could you tell us about your experience in India and with the Indian football team? How was the
Sure.
experience for you?
Unbelievable. I think I mentioned before, I miss that team a lot, and I miss India. I miss India. I have to be honest. It's a great country, great people. I had amazing time in there. I love your food. I have to be honest. And in terms of S&C, I think the players adapt a lot to what we were doing. Okay, with Steven Constantine at that time. So that
Yeah,
was 2 years ago that he left, almost 2 years ago, and they adapt not only to his philosophy of hard work, but him also asked me to work hard and make the players robust, make the players to be different when you get to minute 80, 85. Just be on top of the game. If I remember, one of the best goals I've been on the bench was Sunil Chetri against Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgy. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry about the pronunciation. And we were in Bangalore, and
Okay.
that goal was on minute 70, around 64, 70, and I remember the transition again. That's something that we need to recognize. The transition that him and JJ did was unbelievable, and to see that from him, of course he's a top player, but to see the team working so hard, and to see that match, and to see how we were so much in another level comparing to other teams in that group,
Yeah.
it was because they adapted, they work hard, they basically, we were always busy with players, always pushing them, gym, pool sessions, running drills, MAS staff, coach, fun part too, of course, fun part. I remember, the final of the Champions League was on one day, and we all went to watch Real Madrid Juventus, and it was amazing, the atmosphere, we were all together, so we were a group, we were, you know that's why I miss that team.
Right, right. When were you here in 2017?
17,
Uh,
yeah. The full 2017, January to December.
okay, and from there you moved to China.
Yes.
Is
So
that
I
right?
arrived to, yeah, I arrived to Australia 2 3 weeks, and I remember I did my visa, and I had an offer already in China, and I needed to go to
Yeah.
China.
How's it going, your work in China?
So the role is different. It's different than, so now, instead to be focused on only on, of course I have one team, but then now I'm in charge of the youth as well. So I got 1 2 7 S&C coaches between foreigners and Chinese that I assist them with under 12, under 15, under 17, under 19. And the first team is a little bit different. It's
Right.
a little bit separate, but all the under 23 down, it's part of my role, where all the programs, all the reports, the injuries, they come through me, and also with, I wouldn't say, I hate saying I'm head of S&C. Okay, I'm not head. I think when
Okay.
you're an S&C, everyone works together, and the better we work, the better the outcome. So yeah, we meet, and we make decisions upon what's happening on the field.
Right, right. So when you were about to take over the role in India, what were your expectations and about the athletes that you're going to deal with, and what did you see in reality?
So, well, my expectations, and I'll be honest, when I was here, before I jump into the role, I was working here with an institute called Football New South Wales Institute, with a female under 17 full-time program, high performance program. and those girls, they went eventually to the World Cup. So they were even if they were 16 years old girls, they were very well developed physically, extremely well developed. And of course, I get the call to go to India national team, first team. And the first time I arrived, and I saw some stuff of my program, for example, that I was doing here in that some of the players needed assistance in India. What I'm trying to say with this, I think I mentioned it before. I think Australia, it's a really well developed country physically, at school
Yeah.
level, at socially, even socially. For example, you see uh, two mates here, and they say instead to go for, I don't know, uh, food, they say let's go to surf.
Yeah, that's right.
This is
Yeah.
Australia, so they are very active. So
Yeah.
whereas in India, this is a little bit different. So when I went to the team, I saw a few of the young players that they needed work. They need a lot of work, foundation work.
Right.
Okay, back squat, single lunge, Bulgarian split, stuff like that, Romanian deadlift, or dumbbells. Okay,
Yeah.
so this was the first challenge. But after 2 3 months, they were boom, adults. Let's go work, and we did.
So in India, generally the athletes don't really ask you why, what they are doing. And when it comes from a coach, they just blindly do what they've been asked to do. Was that the case with the, at least with the youngest generation with the team?
Yes and no. I think again, I give credit a lot to Sunil.
Right.
Sunil used to be around with us and used to work. So he will go and say, okay, what do we do today, coach, for example? Or sometimes if he didn't want to say, let's work, coach, what should I do, he will be doing something efficient, let's call it that.
Right.
And then the young player will see that, and then will come and say, coach, what's happening with me? What do I do? I'm in the
Yeah.
gym. I'm at the gym. What should I do? And that was lovely. So
Right.
again, to have a figure like him, a person like him at the team, was a key point.
Right. So from your,
So
in your perspective, in strength and conditioning perspective, what do you think Indian football needs, or what's next for Indian football? So if you were to change few things within the strength and conditioning department of the Indian football
sure.
team, what would that be?
Okay, so I think if you want to make changes at senior level on the 23, it's a little bit too late. Okay, it's probably too late.
Yeah.
So things need to come from the youth. Okay, from under 15, then 17, and to have a whole umbrella. Let's call it that. That you start from the bottom to the
Right.
top, to the senior team. Whereas sometimes I think India right now, this senior team, if you have a great structure,
Mm.
you it's already changed. But
Yeah.
to change the full federation and the full players in 5 to 6 years time, they need to come from the bottom to top. So needs to be a full, let's call it a microcycle for each category
Yeah.
from the beginning, from the youth level.
Right. So were you happy with the fitness level of our athletes, like at least the senior ones, like in the likes of Sunil Chetri?
Yes, yes. No, no, no questioning. Absolutely. Machines, let's call it.
Right. So what sort
Not
of
only
fitness?
him, not only him, I remember most of them, they used to work hard. JJ too, um, Burgess,
Yeah.
Eugene, I
Yeah.
can mention you, Sandesh,
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
even the goalkeepers at the gym. Uh, Amazing, amazing.
So, what was the fitness testing battery that you guys were using back when you were here in India?
Yo-yo too.
Yo-yo too.
You mean yeah, the testing?
Yeah, the other
Other,
profiles as well,
yeah,
strength.
yo-yo too, or like beep test. Depends where we were. Okay, depends on the time that the coach gave us. Okay,
Yeah.
I have to of course, give a lot of credit to Danny Deegan. Danny Deegan
Yeah,
was, I don't know if you remember, Danny Deegan
yeah,
was,
yeah.
he's exceptional. He's an amazing strength and conditioning coach, scientist. He loves the numbers. I love
Right,
the
right,
practice. We did a great job because I love the practice. He loves the numbers.
right, right, right. So for you, how was it growing up in a country where it is all about football? So in India, if cricket is a religion, where you come from, it's football, right?
Oh, hello. Here we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Here we go.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from where you come from, I'm assuming that football is everything. Football is like a religion, just like how we have cricket here in India. So how was it growing up back there?
Yeah.
And then, how, as a player, I'm sure you would have played. And what was your experience like growing up there?
In Venezuela, you mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Venezuela. Football is everything, for us. Like you, cricket, and it's really to make it to the first teams. It's really complicated, and I would say that I did not have, for example, a foundation on S&C, and this is lacking in my country
right,
a lot. Uh, some of the stuff I remember I used to do today, I will be going like, what the hell? Why should I do this?
right.
Okay,
Yeah,
and this was the problem. So I would probably turn to a match on a Sunday extremely tired and sore. Okay, because the fitness coach he wouldn't he wouldn't know what to do,
yeah.
and however the competition it is today really competitive, like you cricket, you guys cricket.
Mm,
So to come to Australia then and not see football every weekend, that was the
that would
toughest
be
part.
tough. Yeah,
That would be that was tough. Yeah.
all right. So right now in China, how do you deal with the language barrier, and how has it impacted your coaching
Yeah.
abilities?
So I decided to. I have a translator. Okay, he's an amazing. He's my right hand because
Right,
he's always with me at the field. But I decided to learn few technical words. Okay, pass the ball, receive the ball, man on, or faster, slower, calm down, technical stuff that as an S&C coach, if I go to somewhere else, if I go to Russia, I'll learn it because the players see, first of all, that you are really with them, and second, they they really understand that you want the best from them
right,
and you are there to make the best from them. So when I change that mentality of okay, the translator it's with me, but I need to learn too because I am the one in a different country. The players responded really well, and the relationship with the players like this, just amazing, amazing. Because they
right.
laugh, they laugh about the
Yeah,
accent, they laugh about and and that's
yeah.
fun too. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it sort of changes your coaching style as well because you have to be more expressive in the way how you are cueing and demonstrating the positions. There isn't much you can do with words, so it completely becomes a different ball game altogether, right?
Yes, 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 and that's the funny, or not the funny, but that's the art of this job. You are always exposed to because you are a coach. They
Right.
always look at you. You are like a leader for them, or you are like someone that needs to behave, let's say. And then when they see a little bit of fun, they react pretty well.
Right, right, right. Are the kids quite happy or keen about lifting weights, or they just do it because it's part of their program?
Yeah. Well, with the adults, uh, they they ask, and I love when a player asks me why this. Example, I remember a player that we used to do a lot of squats, not a lot, but
Yeah,
in my program you have the back squat, and one day I changed it to hip thrust,
right.
and and I had and I had all the players, and two or three came to me. One was the captain, and again I give credit a lot of the captain. And he asked me, of course, in Chinese and broken, what I could understand. He
English.
asked me why today hip thrust, and I say I like you, I like that
Yeah.
part. Uh,
Right.
so and I had to explain. So they work, and they started now to ask, why are we doing this? We need this. And now what I love the most is that, for example, i I give them freedom. So they
Right.
will come to the gym, and I give them freedom. Okay, guys, you got 15 minutes to do mobility before we start a lift. Okay. And and at the beginning it's like, coach, what exercise should I do? And now you see them, all of them, going, okay, I need foam rolling my hip, I need foam rolling my calf, I need to do inchworms, I need to do lunge with a twist, I need to do something by themselves.
Right.
Of
That's a
course
good.
I'm
That's a
there.
good change.
Of
Yeah.
course, yes, of course I'm there. But this is something that I really wanted to achieve, and this is for me probably one of the biggest achievements right now at the program, from youth to top.
Yeah. So while you were here in India, did you pick up any Hindi words?
uh Let me how you call it, wait, yes, bye. Bye is the only reminder. Hey, bye.
Hey,
Bye.
bhai.
Bye. But
Yeah.
few things, but I've forgotten. It's been 3 years already.
Right. Right.
Wow.
You said you love Indian food. What is that you
Yeah.
love the most about Indian food, or what's your favorite dish?
The dessert gulam, can you
Gulab
repeat
jamun.
it? Yes, my God, this
Oh,
is
yeah, that's
for me.
delicious.
That's unbelievable, unbelievable. This in chicken tikka masala.
Oh, yeah, that's good as well. That's good as well.
Yes, but at the program we didn't have this kind of food,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
this was day off.
Okay, absolutely. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's quite interesting to know that in football as well here in India we do have a structure, because in India the strength and conditioning is all about cricket. There isn't much positions available outside cricket. Uh, the national team and the domestic subdivisions of cricket is where you will have positions for strength and conditioning coaches. But it's interesting to know that in Indian football as well, we do have structured program where there is a strength and conditioning coach, an assistant, a physiotherapy department, and sports science. How much of sports science integration is there? You said your head S&C was quite keen on
yeah.
numbers. So how much of sports science tools were there back when you were here in India?
In India, oh, a lot. We had two physios, one massage therapist, Danny and myself. Danny was, let's call it, head sports science, the coach, assistant coach, goalkeeper coach. So we're talking about the kid
Almost.
manager, 8 to 9 people taking care of 23.
Right.
So it's a lot, okay, but it's necessary. Every one of us, okay, was phenomenal at his job, and everyone is necessary. If today, for example, I would jump into a, say again, head S&C or S&C role, the first thing I will ask is, do we have budget for an assistant role?
Mm, right.
Okay, because it's extremely important,
Yeah,
and I value
absolutely.
that in China a lot.
Yeah. And I'm assuming the women's football team was not a part of your program, right? It was a completely different department altogether.
Yeah, different program, different program. But now I read, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, I read right now that every team in India, they need to have a women's program too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes, that's
yeah,
really important. That's really good.
yeah.
I'm really happy about that. That's significant, and it's important.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. If not football, for you, what other sport would you like to work with?
Wow, that's a good question. Um, Okay, so I will go if I have to, you know, I can go to any sport. I like diversity. Okay, but tennis, I would say.
Mm,
Okay,
right.
and tennis and even basketball. Tennis as number one, but then I would challenge myself. I would challenge cricket, for example. There's I have no idea about cricket, and what I will do is just dive into the sport so much, research, videos, learn the name of the players, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if I have to pick one, tennis.
Would be
I
tennis,
think
yeah.
tennis.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's say you had a hypothetical to-do list on a daily basis, like a mandatory to-do list on a daily basis. What would it comprise of for you?
For me, when I'm on duty, or you mean now that
Like personally
as
for
an
you as an S&C, like generally, what things would you like to, put a tick on a daily basis?
first of all, read at least one journal article a day, at least the
Mhm.
abstract.
Right.
Just browsing, it's really simple on Twitter. Jump on Twitter, and there will be hundreds of articles going every day. And then read at least the abstract of what's going on in sports science daily. Two, keep on date on what maybe organizations like Exos and Altis are doing.
Yeah.
That is phenomenal people going through there right now. So if you have opportunity to watch a lecture, that will be good. Number three, and no less important, train. Like
Absolutely.
we need to train as an S&Cs. You need to be able to feel what is the difference between a back squat and a front squat. uh Sumo deadlift with a traditional deadlift. Conditioning session, for example, what is the difference between doing 5K run slow
Yeah.
or MIS 15 by 15, for example? So feel it. And number three, coach someone that is not an athlete. Give a tip to someone that is not an athlete on daily. I mean, for example, I remember I did lockdown with my mom, and she was doing some exercise, and I was like, "Mom, come on, this." You know what I mean? And he's not an
Right.
athlete, but
Yeah.
just we are coaches.
Why do you think that makes a
And,
difference?
sorry.
Why do you think that aspect makes a difference to give training advice or tips to somebody who's not an athlete?
I think the communication
Hmm.
makes a difference. If you say to a player, for example, "Hey, you need to run, go fast," and if I tell the same to my mom with the same accent and the same voice, she will tell me, "Hey,
Yeah.
like but if you say, okay, mom, if you run a little bit faster, or if you go up the steps a little bit faster, you burn more calories, blah blah blah." So communication is the key point for me.
Understood.
I have to give credit a lot to Brett Bartholomew, that he wrote a nice book, and he's always around, and on
Yeah.
social media. The way you talk and the art of coaching, it's important.
Coaching. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
So and learn from not only S&C, so from other different industries. That's
Yeah.
important.
Absolutely. So, who are some people you look up to within the field or outside the field for your personal professional development?
Yeah. Well, Sophia Ninfuse, I Dan Baker, Darren Burgess, um, Dan Puff,
Yeah.
uh, yep, Brett Bartholomew, um, even young coaches like, especially in Australia, Lockie Wilmot,
Yeah.
um, Nikolai Morris,
Yeah.
female. So this is the industry. They Nathan.
Yeah.
This is the industry. Outside of the industry, uh, well, you got me out. But outside of the industry, I would say business people.
Right.
Okay, and that they are successful in financially. You will see how I don't look at the money they have. but I look how they disciplined they were when they were young, how they, like divide their time and they invest and these kind of things.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Um,
So,
and a book, for example, I'm reading right now is Tim Cahill,
mhm,
famous football player here, and the book is not only about football; it's about life and wow, like these kind of things I'll be looking at.
awesome, awesome. So, excuse me, what's next for you professionally?
What's next for me? That's a good question. I think I gotta be honest, and I really enjoy being in the national team. So I wouldn't mind going into another football setting organization in a national team.
Right.
A club too could be a club in Europe or in India. Again, okay, one club without taking care of the youth. Just focus on one club.
Yeah,
Again, I like that where you have, and if possible, then move into a different sport.
absolutely. So the as we were discussing in the mail, the whole objective behind this was to just connect with people across the globe, people who are not just from India, and then just expand the community here in India of strength and conditioning coaches, sports scientists, anything that falls under the umbrella of sports science. So I last week I had a chat with Nikolai. It was a very good, interesting chat. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. So we hope to, bring more people onto the show. And it was a pleasure having you. And is there anything that you would, would like to tell upcoming SNCs, not specific to football, anyone who wants to
sure,
get into the field from your experience?
sure,
Would you like to share anything?
sure. Well, I got a few rules. Number one, it's again respect the process. We all want to be, for example, either Manchester United or cricket national team, um, male, and we all want that role. However, respect that it takes time, and the more time it takes, the less likely to make a mistake when you are there.
Totally.
That's number one. Number two, study is important, extremely important these days. So again, reading, searching, connecting like this. And number three, coaching. Just coach from a healthy male to a healthy female, diverse type of ages. Just coach your approach. And then once you finish the day, say, oh, what could have improved? What could have done better?
Right.
This is my three main rules.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Claudio. Thank you for making the time
Thank
for
you.
this. We will connect in the future and we'll
For
hope to
sure.
see you when probably if all the travel restrictions are lifted to Australia for the ASCA
Thank you.
conference in November.
Thank you. And I have to say, if someone wants to shoot an email, please just shoot
Yeah.
me an email.
What would be the
And
best way to reach out to you? Social
I
media
got
handles.
Twitter, which is my name and surname, Instagram, my name and surname, and LinkedIn, my name and surname. My email is ca.strengthandconditioning@gmail.com. Anyone, I will pass it on to you after if you can spread it out. I'm happy to help